Impact activates the sensors. Now it's confirming if there's a live target on it. One wrong move and boom!
Welcome to About Time, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Steven, and I've been a Doctor Who fan since 2005, and usually I'm joined on the podcast by my boyfriend Ben. Today, however, I'm joined by a special guest, Ianto, to discuss the 2024 episode Boom. And quite frankly, it's about time. Hello listeners, welcome back to About Time, and we are once again without Ben, but we are joined by a lovely guest who's actually been on the podcast before. Welcome back, Ianto.
Hello, faithful listeners.
You had to get that in
I
there.
mentioned it last time.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, great. Thank you for joining me.
Not a problem. Thanks to be back.
We're here to discuss Boom.
Boom.
Part of me wishes it had an exclamation mark. I know that would be really cheesy, but I think, didn't Kablam have one, I think?
Yeah, I saw someone say that this is what Kabam thought it was, with like its commentaries and stuff. I know.
So how many times have you watched it so far?
I've watched it, twice and the commentary.
Yeah,
So
same
sort of
actually.
3, yeah.
Yeah, same. So I watched it on the Saturday morning when it was released. Have you been watching them at midnight?
Yeah, I've been doing the midnight thing.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but so far I haven't, just because, yeah.
I quite like it at midnight. I wish it was slightly earlier, but I don't know, it feels something different about it being at night and like all curled up on the sofa rather than just the middle of the day feels wrong somehow.
I can understand that. If I had more energy, I would, but I'm just like constantly tired at the moment. I don't think I could stay up and actually give it my attention.
Fair.
But I
was concerned with the first week.
Yeah, I've also seen people saying that watching it on a Saturday morning is kind of like comforting and like Saturday morning cartoons in a way.
I can see that. Yeah,
I can understand that. But yeah, I think it's definitely been divisive, this whole midnight release thing. I wonder whether they'll continue it or not. What did we think of Boom?
I really enjoyed it, actually. It felt, as much as I've enjoyed the last two, it was nice to have one that was a lot more grounded and a lot less, I don't want to say silly, but a lot more serious. As much as I've been enjoying this new sort of era, it's felt very different, and it's tricky trying to see it without that lens of sort of the rose-tinted glasses of being a kid and watching it and the nostalgia and everything. Whereas this one felt almost like, I don't know, because it's not been that long since Moffat was there, it just felt the same as it did before with when Moffat was there. Like, you could feel his writing style was very similar to what it was. Whereas trying to compare Russell back to the original era, it's obviously so long and I'm a different person now. It was very different. So I guess it just felt right by comparison.
Yeah, I would say it felt more like Moffat in his own era than it did Moffat when he was under RTD before. Yes. Yeah.
And there was a lot of his things, and it felt very his style. There's a lot of stuff he wanted to say, and you could tell it was his voice. Even if it had not said it was him at the start in the titles, you could have told it was him.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, a lot of his dialogue is so distinctive. He's a big fan of those kind of sweeping statements, like everywhere's a beach eventually.
Yes, you can see when he's thought of something he thinks is I like that, and you're like, we'll get that in.
Yeah, I wrote down a couple of other lines as well that screamed Moffat to me, and particularly screamed Clara and the Doctor, which was when the Doctor was like, everything's fine, and Ruby said, who said it wasn't? And I could just imagine that Clara saying that.
Yeah, and the one about watching his blood pressure or something.
Yes, and also the tell me what you're not telling me, like as if she knows him so well, like. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Clara from Ruby, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
I guess at the end of the day, there's only so many ways that a companion can go. Like they're all going to be in a similar vibe at the end of the day. But I'm really liking it. I think they have really good chemistry as well, and seeing them bouncing off each other is really good.
Yeah, they are great. Because I was never really a fan of Clara when she was on board, but I've come to appreciate her more in recent years. And I can see a lot of similarities. I think that's the thing. Companions are either going to be like, I don't know, like some of them are a bit more cautious and sort of going into a world that they don't know yet, Whereas companions like Clara and Ruby tend to sort of grab it by the horns and be like, yeah, bitch, I'm just as good as the Doctor kind of thing.
Yeah, show me some moon, show me some planets. I'm well up for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's definitely one of those ones.
See, I kind of prefer like the Rose kind of, like the series 1 Rose, where she was a bit more like just blown away by everything and like...
She was a little bit more hesitant, a bit more...
Yeah.
But I guess
there was that whole...
I was going to say she's a lot younger, but how old is Ruby meant to be?
They're the same age. They're both 19.
Are they?
Yeah.
Right.
Very different though.
Yeah, very different.
So let's talk about the... I don't like to use this word because it makes it sound cheap, but I'll say the gimmick of the episode of the Doctor being stuck on a landmine, can't move for the whole thing.
It was a really interesting concept. Like once you take away his ability to do everything and just run about and like he's beholden to other people having to actually fix it. It was a really interesting concept.
Yeah. When I heard that's what the episode was going to be about, and obviously knowing that it was written by Moffat, I instantly got very Sherlock vibes, as in like he's just got to use his brain and nothing else. And I didn't quite go down the route that I was expecting in a way.
No.
But yeah, I thought it was good. I don't know, I was maybe expecting there to be more bigger stuff going on beyond where they were, if you see what I mean. And the Doctor was trying to have to sort of remotely deal with things, whereas it was very focused on where they were, which was fine. And almost because of the nature of it, it means the episode was pretty much in real time, which was quite interesting. It really added to
afterwards.
You know, like Moffat was saying about he wanted to do tension, and I think that adds to the tension.
No, it really does. Yeah, I'd not considered that on the first viewing, but yeah, it's pretty much real time. And I do like it when they do those sorts of stories and they're not jumping about.
Yeah, I mean, very limited in location as well, obviously.
Yeah. I thought it was a bit odd that obviously at the very start he was there just sort of completely still, barely even move his eyes. And by the end he's like giving high fives and stuff, I think. And like when he's got like pretty much no wiggle room at this point. It's like, I don't know if that was something I thought was a bit odd. I preferred it. I wish it had been the other way around. And like, he was getting to the point of being barely even able to talk. At the end of the episode would have been interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember him giving high fives while he was on the
I think he was doing so. I'm sure he was like waving or something. Like, there was all sorts of, considering he could barely breathe at the start.
Well, exactly, I guess he was just being overcautious at the start, but the way they set it up was that literally, you know, it's on a hair trigger, like you can't do anything. You can't change in any way.
But I did one bit, maybe I've just misunderstood it, but where he says about how it's just checking to see if it's got a viable like target stood on it or something before it detonates. But then later on he's like, well, it'll explode anyway. So why is it bothering to assess him if it's just going to explode anyway?
Yeah, that's very odd.
This is one of those Moffat-y problems if you can't really assess the episode too much.
Yes.
Because that jumped out to me on the second watch. It's like, well, if it's just going to blow up anyway, why is it waiting for like half an hour to assess whether it should? Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
It feels like he just, you know, he got to a point where he couldn't increase the tension anymore. So he was like, okay, now I'm just going to make it so that it's going to blow up anyway.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that now, and I can't think of an explanation.
I'm sure there's reasons, but yeah.
Yeah. Moffaty reasons.
By that point, it had decided that there was something there, whether it was what it was or not, and it would blow up regardless. But maybe it has to calibrate to work out who the person is as to how it triggers the attack that it does, or something. And he was more complicated, so it took longer, or I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you've completely thrown a spanner in the works a bit. I can't stop my brain trying to work it out now. So we got a return of the Moffat clerics.
We did. Are they the same ones that were did they become the papal mainframe, or is that an entirely different thing?
Oh, you're asking now. Is that the Time of the Doctor?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've only seen
that. All that kind of stuff. Are they the same people eventually?
I know they were the Time of Angels people.
Ones. Yeah.
And then they were Anglican Marines in the Good Man Goes to War.
Yes.
So I think those might be related.
Because Kavarian was working with them, so yes, makes sense.
Yeah. But then the Doctor said, the way he said that, like, the church not being an army is just a blip in history.
Yes. And I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So, you know, it's quite all-encompassing. Yeah, lots of interesting lines about faith and stuff. I think by the end of the episode, you can see the Doctor isn't necessarily saying faith is a bad thing. He's just saying when it's used to
cover up the need to think, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah, or to to further your issues, like something that people find easy to hide behind because it feels unimpeachable.
Exactly.
But, yeah, and I think that was a great commentary. I really liked that beautiful line where he said, "Yeah, the magic word that stops you from having to think for yourselves." Like, yeah.
Yeah, I did really like all of that commentary. It didn't feel quite as forced as some of the others had been. I mean, it was very obvious, but it was very well put, I thought.
I thought it worked well. And obviously all the thoughts and prayers, like,
yes. Even to the like the framing of it and like the little rows and stuff, like just screamed, we don't really care.
Yeah. And obviously the AI voice of it, like, really disingenuous, sort of like thoughts and prayers, like smiley, like, yeah. Loved it. That was very good, actually. So obviously the ambulance, played by Susan Twist.
Yeah, our only extra available.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I think. I would absolutely love it if this whole thing was just one big red herring and it's utterly irrelevant.
It'd be hilarious.
Because I feel like in this sort of era where everyone can discuss it, the whole wisdom of crowds thing, and everyone can almost always come up with a better actual story than the writer did, because at the end of the day, they're one person, that you've kind of got to throw in a lot of red herrings to actually cover it up. I think it could be a really interesting one.
I know what you mean,
but
yeah.
I don't think it will be, but
no,
it's interesting that he's finally actually seen her face now.
Yes,
the Doctor, that is.
Unless he was so stressed about the bomb that he didn't take it in.
True.
I personally think it would just be so funny if because she's just a random actress and she's called Susan Twist. They hired her for Wild Blue Yonder, and they saw her name, and Russell was like, "Oh, that'd be so funny if we kept bringing her back." Because all the fans will go mad, and it's nothing. It's just, he's just trolling.
Yeah. She's getting bigger and bigger bits, though. Bigger and bigger parts.
She is.
Not just one line.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how big her role was in this one. But also the fact that she's supposedly an AI interface, even though in all the others she's been a human. So I'm guessing,
where have they got that face from?
Yeah. Or maybe she was a human pretending. I don't know. I'll take that little as I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, potentially. I mean, anything's possible in these things.
Yeah. I mean, Nanny was pretending, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how the conversation goes. I mean, they sort of alluded to it a bit in the commentary, but how it goes telling the writer what to include and like how much of the story they know and like how to make these things fit in, like how you got him to throw in the snow and like bits about her parentage and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like those were quite late additions, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine Susan Twist was just, they were looking for a role that they could put her in. So presumably Moffat wrote it just as an AI interface, and then Russell was we'll put Susan in there.
That'd be give her something to do for the day.
Yeah. Obviously, we got Villain Guard as well. Classic Moffat thing.
He loves that name, doesn't he? He's proud of that. He does.
Yes. But it kind of grated on me how Shooty kept pronouncing it.
Pronouncing it wrong. Yes. Yeah. I thought the same thing. It was kind of frustrating.
I don't know if that was him or if someone told him to say it that way, but then everyone else in the episode says it the proper way. So, I don't know. It's a bit irritating.
It was.
It's a bit like people have problems with Matt Smith's pronunciation of Metebelis 3. I think.
Oh, does he? Do they? I don't remember that.
It's just a big thing on Twitter. I think he says Metebelis or something. But yeah, you needed someone on set who's seen Classic Who.
Well, yeah, it looked like Moffat was on set quite a lot, so I'm surprised he didn't say something or shout up about it.
I suppose by the time you've already done some takes and got it in the can,
it's too late.
It'd be a faff to go back, and he's like, oh well, whatever. But yeah, I thought that was nice because obviously we've heard of it quite a few times with, him blowing up the weapons factory and planting a banana grove and stuff. And then to sort of expand them a bit more and the whole capitalism thing.
Yeah, it makes it feel a bit more all shared universe thing rather than just random bits and pieces. I like it when it's sort of all ties together and feels a little bit more real.
Yeah. It did make me chuckle on the commentary when he said he didn't want to put in too many references to his old episodes, and then he's like, "It's nothing but references to his old episodes."
Yeah, bless him.
It was always going to be, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he's back again at Christmas as well, so we'll see what else he can get in there.
Joy to the
Presumably
world.
we're going to have some people in a Matrix-style simulation will be, because that's one of the tropes he hasn't ticked off in this episode. So.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Although interesting, I'm very curious. I think this will be the first time that a Christmas special isn't written by the current showrunner.
I thought that was interesting.
I'm wondering why that's the case. Was Russell just busy and was like, is the Christmas special not going to be tied into the overall arc, or
Yeah.
and how much of it is it an entirely original Steven Moffat idea like Boom, or is it Russell said to him, I want an episode where this happens, can you write it? Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm guessing it's probably because of just how many Russell's written recently that he maybe needed just a break to focus on everything else that comes along with the job. So it must be quite when at the end of the day your job is, I like to write stories, and then actually what you do as a showrunner is, that's probably quite a small percentage of it really, when you worry about running around and doing everything else. Yeah,
and especially when not to cause offence, but when you are getting older as well, like they're not the men that they were 20 years ago when they were doing it the first time round.
No, that's a fair point.
I'm noticing that on Unleashed, because I've been watching a lot of the old Confidential and then going to Unleashed and seeing Russell sort of got even more sort of Welsh and, hand flappy. It's like he's becoming more of a caricature of himself.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, we do love him.
Have you watched the Unleashed for this one?
I watched it just now because I was like, I need to watch it before we do this, yeah.
And Hottie of the Week goes to VFX Man.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you pointed him out to me, and I was waiting for him to appear, and he did, yeah. Tom, wasn't it? I was like, oh, there he is. And he does a little wink to the camera, and I was like, oh, yeah.
This here is Danny.
Yeah. Well, apparently Danny's still working on it.
Oh, is he? Oh.
Or at least he was for the specials. Yeah, someone said he's still working on it, so that's cool.
Oh. He's throwing some polystyrene rocks at someone somewhere.
Yeah.
I found it interesting thinking earlier how many Doctors Moffat's now written for.
Oh, yeah. It's easily the most of any writer, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I went through, I think there's 8, which, considering technically, if you discount anything pre-Hartnell, because there's in theory infinite numbers there, that's like half of all of the ones there's been.
So what, he's got the first Doctor because of Twice Upon a Time. He's also done McGann
in the little short.
Yeah, Eccleston, Tennant, Smith, Capaldi,
War,
yes,
and now
Shooty. Wow. Yeah, that is insane.
There's a lot. Yeah.
People say that,
and not just cameos, like full on stories. Like Chibnall could count 1, 5, 6, 7, 8 if he wanted, but with just that.
Oh yeah, and I didn't count Davison as well from Time Crash. He wrote for.
Oh, but yeah, I'd not thought of that.
Yeah,
technically, yeah.
I mean, if you count McGann in the Night of the Doctor, you can count.
I suppose.
Davison.
Yeah. It's probably actually just as long. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, people say that Moffat really gets the Doctor more than any other writer. That's a view I've heard. I
think I agree.
I don't
know.
I definitely think...
don't know if he any more so than anyone else, but I think he gets him as much as anyone does.
He definitely has a really consistent character and tone under Moffat. I mean, obviously the different Doctors have their different things, but he always seems like someone who's very aware of how clever they are, and it can get a little bit grating sometimes, if I'm honest, but.
It can, but that's why he's great when he's not the showrunner, I think, that he just does odd episodes here and there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, it doesn't become overwhelming.
And the tropes don't feel quite so obvious when it's just every now and then.
It's such a shame that we've never got Moffat writing for Jodie, because that would have been super interesting, I think.
That would have been really interesting. Have I seen anything where where his lead is a female character? I don't think I have.
No, well...
Most all of his leads tend to be male characters, so it would be very interesting seeing him write for Jodie.
Yes. Maybe one day. Maybe she'll come back.
It sounds like she would.
I bet she'd be up for it. Yeah.
Speaking of female characters, what do you think to the new companion appearing early?
Yeah, I didn't realise until the credits.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I expect most people didn't. But yeah, interesting. On the one hand, it seems like a Freema Agyeman situation.
I'm thinking it is. I'm imagining it's she's really good. We need a new companion. Let's use her. They might retrofit a story in.
But that's they probably will, because Russell has said, how that happens, how it fits into the story of the Doctor and Ruby Sunday and all that. Like, you have to wait and see. But so yeah, it could just be like they thought, yeah, she's good, let's use her, and then they're going to come up with an explanation to make it work.
I don't think it was planned.
No, but it's really interesting that they've announced her, but they're withholding a name of the character. So I think. But
he's openly saying it isn't her, the same one.
Oh yeah, he's saying it's not the same character from Boom,
but won't say what it is.
Yeah, there've been theories, obviously. By the time this recorded episode goes out, the series will be over. So I don't think we're spoiling anything, and I don't think it's true anyway. But there's been all sorts of crazy theories, and I've heard people talk about Ruby regenerating.
Yeah, I'd heard that one.
So if Varada turns out to be the regeneration of Ruby, that could be why they haven't released the name.
Potentially, yeah. But didn't it say that they're like both
traveling
as
together?
Companions? Yeah. Obviously, I mean, you would say that if you were trying to hide it, but Russell's very much not opposed to lying to the audience for a while until needed.
Yeah,
she was really good though. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I thought she did amazingly with that part, and also on Unleashed as herself. Like, she just was very appealing.
Yes,
I thought.
I knew nothing about her before because I've not seen. I had seen Andor, but I couldn't really remember her character much in it. But I did really like her here. I thought she did a very good job. I wasn't very keen on the whole love story thing. I thought that felt a little bit irrelevant.
It's another sort of Moffat staple, really, isn't it? Kind of, the doomed lovers.
Yeah.
It slightly leans into the whole love saves the day thing that we've had a few times.
Yeah, he does like that trope. He loves it, doesn't he?
But it's okay. I mean, it worked. It worked all right in the episode.
Yeah, it was fine. I didn't hate it. I was just a bit fair enough. Do your thing if you really need to.
Yeah. It's like I was going to say it's like Richard Curtis writes Doctor Who, but of course he has, and that was very different. So.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about Ncuti's performance and Millie's performance as well in this episode. Very, very good.
They were great. They were really good. Just the amount of emotion that he could convey without even moving was very impressive. It was nice to see him as well, a lot more serious, and like you can see the depth and
and he's so good, and Millie as well. I was really impressed because we haven't seen that much of her serious side yet.
She hasn't really been put under pressure that much, other than running about in some tunnels in the first one. But
the way she actually kept her cool under pressure was really nice.
Yeah, even if I found her a bit frustrating, the whole singing a song thing that she was making him do, and it was like, clearly he knows what he's doing. Don't tell him what to do.
Yeah, I think that was more for her. She felt the pressure of needing to do it at exactly the right moment. So I think it was to help her. And that, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what they called it, but that thing that she thought was an urn and was actually the compressed remains.
It was, questionable to look at.
Yes.
I think the prop guys.
I wonder how much influence Moffat had over the design of it.
and I don't know if it's just me, but like I feel like I would be maybe treating it with a little bit more respect than the way they were just sort of throwing it around. And I'm sure I kind of had an eye out of the side of it, and they just like, I think it doesn't Ncuti kiss it at one point, and I'm like, a little bit gross.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, it's a strange concept, but
and presumably that ambulance lady's just going around depositing those things all over the bloody place. They're just scattered with weird little tubey things,
weird little fleshlights.
Yeah,
I had to say.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, you say it.
Yeah, I'm thinking of an episode title all the time. By the way, Splice, the little girl. Now, I haven't seen much, if any, Star Wars, but her costume made me think of Star Wars.
I can see that, yeah.
Like, is it Rey? I feel like she wears something similar.
She was a bit of a baby Rey, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, their camp was quite Star Warsy, actually. Yeah. I thought she was. It was a bit odd. I thought like the character was maybe written to be younger than the actress was.
I was literally going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she seems to. The dialogue was very like she didn't understand that her dad was dead and stuff. And I felt like a girl of the age that she was, she would have realised, she would have worked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just talking about antelope or whatever she was going on about. It's like, and the way that she was just wouldn't listen to Ruby and was just like running towards it. And but then I guess it's difficult to get such young actors that are good enough for that scene. So maybe they just decided to age her up a bit.
Yeah.
And didn't rewrite it, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you normally when you have child actors as well, you normally have someone who's slightly older than the part to play younger. But I guess she definitely looked like, 11 or 12, I would say. She should have probably been about 6 or 7. But
yeah. But then I guess you could argue that she was too accepting of it because of the whole religious thing, and as far as she was concerned, death wasn't the problem, and she didn't need to worry. It was just carry on.
What about the visuals of the whole episode?
It was impressive. It was interesting to see them talk about how it was, because I'd heard that they'd used the volume from Star Wars. I mean, it's not quite the same, but pretty much the same idea. And it's so impressive if you've ever watched any videos on how that works. And like just the stuff they can do is crazy. And like how you can even do it with more than one camera, and you have it set so that the screen is showing alternating frames, and one camera is reading one frame and the other one's offset and reading the other frame at the same time. So they can do it at different angles, and they're both rendering the right image for each camera, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
I mean, it looks crazy to actually look at it off camera. But yeah, it all works in camera. And like in the commentary when they were talking about how the TARDIS was just effectively an archway, showing the screen behind it with the real interiors on the screen and stuff was really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool, especially, how long Doctor Who's been going. And like, this is possibly the first time they've done that where you actually, if you were there on set, you could have looked at it and it would have looked like
pretty
the
much
TARDIS
real
interior
thing.
was in there. Yeah, that's crazy.
Considering it's not even that long ago that they were still just, a picture stuck in the back corner. Yeah. I'm sure I've heard someone say that the Children in Need one, the card was upside down in the back of the TARDIS for Jodie's. Someone was saying that in one of the shots it's upside down.
Oh, what, the Destination Skaro one?
Yeah.
Really?
The picture in the back of the TARDIS is upside down, apparently.
Perhaps someone did that on purpose.
Potentially.
How would you tell the difference? That awful monstrosity.
Oh my God. I'm glad that's gone.
Yeah. By the way, with Varada's character, I saw, I can't credit because I don't know who it was, but somebody on Twitter worked out that her name, Mundy Flynn, Monday obviously sounds like Monday, which is a day of the week, as is Sunday. Yeah. Flynn means red, which Ruby also means red.
Right.
And like there's a connection there. Whether that's deliberate, who knows? Whether it's someone having a laugh, who knows? But
I would be doing that left, right, and centre if I was writing this thing. Every character's name would mean something in like Latin or like whatever.
Just because people are going to spend hours dissecting it, and it will all be for nothing. Like that would be hilarious. Just have that power. By the way, it was so funny just then when I heard myself saying Monday, which is a day of the week, in case you didn't know that.
I am familiar, I think.
Yes.
I've had a few of them.
Yeah, unfortunately. So there was also this reference to sentient mud, which apparently is a Jodie reference, but I don't know what to.
Would that be the Witchfinders one?
I think that's what people are saying.
Some sort of mud.
But honestly, I've blocked most of that era out of my memory, unfortunately.
I've at most seen every episode twice.
Yeah.
And that's at most.
I don't remember.
It was something to do with mud in the Witchfinders. But I can't remember what the hell it was about. Yeah.
But that's nice though, to that we're getting continuing references.
Yeah, I'm liking what Russell's doing with the whole Timeless Child thing. He's making it so much more relatable. And I'm liking that.
Yes.
I was very much at the camp of just ignore it, pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing a good job with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's dealing with it the best way, really.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like in Space Babies when he was like telling them about how he was left abandoned, and then he was like, and guess who took me in? The Time Lords and all that. Like that was a lovely bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. I really liked that episode has massively grown on me. Space Babies.
Same.
I wasn't sure when I watched it on the night, but having seen it, I think 3 times now, I do actually really like it.
So another Moffat staple is the companion being in mortal danger, possibly even dying.
Yeah.
So Ruby got
in the
shot.
commentary said it was much more. She was very much more.
Oh
desperate.
yeah. So,
yeah, he does love that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His poor companions.
And we got the snow. So what do you think's going on with that?
I don't know. There's so much of the whole trickster thing that people are talking about, and is she part of the pantheon and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
But if she's going to be a continuing character, surely she can't be, because then surely it just means every story in future is going to be so easily solved if she can just manipulate reality or whatever everyone's saying she can do.
Yeah, unless she has some storyline where she has to relinquish her powers.
Yeah, potentially.
Or I mean, if making it snow for a few seconds is the only power she has, then that's not going to solve everything.
I suppose. No, unless it's sort of a Winter Olympics related problem.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the Wizard of Oz when they all go to sleep with the poppies and it snows and
she becomes a visual effects artist.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. It feels like there's.
Sorry, Karen.
I think we're going to say the same thing, so go on.
But there's a lot of different mysteries that he's throwing in.
Yes, exactly.
I'm wondering how much of it's this series, how much of it's his new era as a whole.
We've had nothing from Mrs. Flood since she was first.
No, I think she's going to be next series. I don't think she'll be this series.
Yeah.
Or there might be a reveal at the end, and then she becomes a main character next series.
Yes, but because she's one of the characters to break the fourth wall, and mostly that's been the God characters that have done that. And
the Doctor.
And the Doctor.
Which is interesting.
Yes. There's so much.
Is the Doctor another one of the Pantheon, and they were left outside this wormhole back to the dimension where they all come from?
Yeah. Is this finally canonizing the Feast of Stephen when he turns to the camera and wishes everyone a Merry Christmas?
He plays the long game, Russell.
Yeah.
A very long game. I am hoping the fourth wall thing is a bit, and it's like done for a reason,
yes,
rather than just for fun in a couple of episodes. Because even a friend that was watching that hadn't ever really watched Doctor Who before said this feels weird that they're doing this so much.
I think Russell's too smart for it not to be for a reason.
I'm assuming so.
He knows what he's doing, and he knows the show. Like it feels like it's changed a lot under Disney. But I don't know how much of that is because of Disney or
intentional.
No,
I think intentional.
I mean? Yeah.
I don't think Russell would agree to it, considering how much he loves this program and has since he was like 3 or whatever it was.
Obviously the songs we've been having. Russell keeps mentioning in interviews and things how Doctor Who's always felt like it was just about to burst into song, and now we're actually doing it. I don't know if I agree with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I don't.
I get it.
Agree with that.
I get it. Like there's high emotion and stuff, but yeah, I feel like it must be part of something.
I'm hoping so, and I'm expecting it'll be resolved. Hopefully, the end of this series, I think that element of it will be. Because I think you're going to lose too many of the too many people that want it to be a sci-fi show if it sticks too much the fantasy side.
Yeah,
I don't mind it leaning into that every now and then, but I'd prefer it wasn't the focus of the show.
Yeah.
Unless, like I say, it's for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. It's very weird recording all these episodes mid-series.
Knowing that we'll just be laughed at when
they're going to come out and these are just little time capsules of our thoughts. And so we got the kind of reveal of the twist that there were no Castarians. The war was just them fighting themselves, basically. Did you see that coming?
I didn't. I thought there was going to be a twist with them, but I don't know. I think this was my main not disappointment with it. I think it's more that I bigged it up more than because I know how good Moffat is with the twists. I expected it to maybe be bigger, but that's on me for overhyping it. But I did think it was odd that we'd not seen any of them, any of this thing that they're apparently in a war against.
Yeah, I think it's a good twist. That it's kind of a bit like the Doctor's Daughter, where it turns out that the war that's supposed to be going on for years and years had actually only been like a few weeks. And I just think you could sense, especially on a rewatch, knowing the twist, you can sense the sort of paranoia from them when they're going on about, oh, they're in the fog, no, they're in the mud and stuff like that. And it's like,
what does this war actually look like? What are they doing day to day? 'Cause obviously we only see like half an hour of it.
Yeah, but... and we've seen lots of wreckage and
what actually is their war in their eyes? Like, how did that guy get blinded?
I'm guessing an explosion, which maybe they set off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd just like to see a bit more of it, I guess. That's the problem with single episodes.
Because it was the Villain Guide algorithm was programmed to keep the casualties at a certain number, wasn't it? To keep you buying. So I'm guessing, was that just the ambulances, or was there more? Because it was all their weapons were Villain Guard, weren't they? So
maybe there's more stuff. Maybe there's tanks going around. And do we reckon the Doctor lost his TARDIS key during everything that happened? Because at the end he's patting pockets and stuff and can't find his key. Oh yeah.
I mean, I just took it that it is on him somewhere, but he couldn't find it for the moment, and it was just like Ruby was handily there, like she's meant to be with him, like, you know.
Oh, I took it that he's lost it, and that might come back. That someone's got it.
Could be.
Susan trundling along in a little ambulance and pick it up. Climbs out the back of the machine.
That's what would have happened in Classic Who.
Yeah. Yeah, she was wearing it like Mum from Futurama.
Another thing towards the end there, another classic Moffatism, I think, is when the companion almost acts like the Doctor's carer, or is a bit patronising, you know, when she said, oh, he probably needs changing.
He does like to put the Doctor down through the companion, doesn't he?
I thought that was very Clara.
Yeah, I used to find that quite grating when at the time, because I used to very much be like, no, like, give this guy the respect. Like, he's saving millions of people and stuff. Like, don't put him down. But on rewatches as a bit more grown up, I do quite enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it, but it's not my favourite thing. It makes me think of, like, is it series 9 when he's got the cue cards and Clara's sort of like, you know, giving him instructions on, like, you know, how to have empathy and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's a good episode. I think it felt like a welcome, like you said earlier, like a change of tone from the previous two episodes. And it was quite reassuring to know that, we're still going to have this kind of episode.
Yes.
It's not all going to be frothy camp. I mean, we love camp, but you know, it doesn't all have to be like that.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about Doctor Who is the variety, isn't it, from episode to episode?
It really is. Like, it can do pretty much any genre it wants to.
Yeah.
And it sounds like next week's horror sort of style, which I'm really excited for. I don't know. I've been trying to avoid any of the little clips about it and talking about it. So I don't really know anything. So I'm quite looking forward to that one. So yeah, it's a fascinating program that it can just pretty much do anything it wants.
Exactly, yeah. That can be its greatest blessing or its greatest curse.
Yeah, it doesn't have its own niche, but that in itself is a niche.
Yeah, I didn't mean that just as in that sometimes writers can choose to do really awful things with it. Like,
true, yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be different for different people. Well, as usual, I put out on social media for listeners to let me know what they thought of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I would say mostly pretty positive. Well, the first one comes from Owen and it says, it's definitely a Moffat episode. And I'm not sure whether that's positive or negative or just neutral, just factual. But it's definitely a Moffat episode. Joe says, I did like it, but it's kind of exactly what you'd think an episode about the Doctor steps on a landmine would be. Thought the acting from both were amazing. Louis says, I enjoyed it, but I think it only seems amazing in comparison to the underwhelming previous two episodes.
Oof.
Harsh,
I can understand why people maybe don't like them.
Understand his point, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was interesting. Hannah commented and said, I was really excited for this one, but I was bored out of my mind for about 90% of it. Guess I just prefer my Doctor Who campy. And then a few days later, she replied to her own comment and said, "May the records show that I've rewatched it and I would like to rescind my comment."
You're down to 80% hating it, or?
But that is funny as well, isn't it? How your opinion can change so much on a rewatch.
It really, really can, especially around the first two, I thought. When Moffat left, I was very happy because I was like, I think in my eyes, I'd had enough and I wanted a bit of a change. I never thought how excited I would be to see his name in the titles again. I was so happy to the start of that to see him back.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, I think since he left, I've grown a lot more fond of him. Because when he was running it, he really grated on me, and I found him irritating, and I found his writing irritating.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's looking back now, I definitely have a fondness for him. It was nice to see him on Unleashed as well, in the new TARDIS and everything.
Yeah, he clearly loves it.
Yeah,
I don't think we're getting rid of him whether we want to or not.
Yeah. I loved all that about when he was being asked if he was coming back, and he refuses to actually lie, but just is economical with the truth, but by basically saying it would be career madness for me to return to Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which sounds like he's saying, no, I'm not doing it, but he says, yes, it is madness and I'm doing it.
Or the other one where he says both the episode titles that he's written in the interview without them knowing.
Yeah, and he said to Russell, "Did you notice that?" And Russell was like, "Oh yes, I cackled." Couple of other comments. Existing person says, really, really good. The ending felt very Moffaty, but it was amazing to see another episode written by him. And Chris says, Moffat hasn't lost his touch. Fantastic episode, best of the season so far. Would you agree with that? Is it your favourite so far?
I'd say it's tied with the second one, but for just different reasons.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed them both, but they're just completely different styles. So it's hard to compare them.
Yeah, it is like apples and oranges. Yeah,
it really is. I think I enjoyed episode 2 more. I think probably episode 3 was objectively better.
I think that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah,
you can enjoy something without it being as good as something else.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Because I felt with The Devil's Cord, I keep referring to it as kind of like style over substance. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't enjoyable, because it was very enjoyable. Yeah. Totally. But like you say, I think Boom is technically perhaps a better episode.
Yeah. But then more serious episodes that are more about characters and things are always going to be technically better. They're the kind of thing that win the Oscars. Well, not win the Oscars, but that kind of film is always the one that wins the Oscars, as opposed to the ones that are fun and people enjoy. If that makes sense.
So if I asked you to rate Boom out of 10, what do you think you'd give it? Something
around the 7.5, 8 mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
I think so. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. Yeah, I think probably I'll say 7.5.
There was just something in it, in the pre-titles bit, that just very much sat there going, "Oh, this is what I remember it being like." Yeah, it sort of rekindled that joy that I had when I watched it years ago.
Yes, it felt like a Capaldi episode, I think.
Yeah.
In a way. And a lot of his dialogue as well, you could hear Capaldi saying.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe not the honeys and so, but yeah.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's cool though. And it's nice to know we've got another Moffat one in the future.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be the last.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end. Before we finish, there's something I need to do. And I am under no circumstances allowed to sing the song without Ben. So I just have to forgo that bit.
I will sit in silence.
Sorry to
I'll hum to myself in my head.
Yeah. This week, I would like to welcome back Northerly. Welcome back. I'm so grateful. Ben is grateful as well.
I'm not meant to echo the names back, am I? Because that feels weird.
No, you don't have to. No, no one can do it like Ben. So
no.
I'm trying to think if I should do a voice related to the episode, but I can't think of anything. Only the ambulance, but
I was going to say he could be Susan.
Yeah. All right then. Northerly, you join the ranks of Louisa, Philip, Jason, Joe, Tom, Louis, Michael, Verna, Heather, Benny, Caleb, Monica, Amber, Jess, Kaylee, Kieran, Jay, Owen, and Natalie. That That list is getting to the point where, I might need to speed them up. But yeah, honestly, that's a lovely list of people who are supporting me and Ben on the podcast. We love you so much. Thank you. And if you'd like to join them, you know where to go. It's all on the link tree in our show notes. Thank you for sitting through that, Ianto.
Not a problem.
And thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too.
And so next week, I shall be back with some other guests to talk about the next episode, 73 Yards. But until that time, listeners, stay cool, stay safe.
Stay fantastic.